So Colin Kaepernick has a new Netflix special. And I always struggle, and I understand some of you out there may also struggle in your mind, like, should I give Colin Kaepernick attention or not, when it's clear that all he wants is attention and there's no real substance behind any of his arguments. But this was such a ridiculously stupid argument that I felt like I had to address it. Colin Kaepernick, and you can go watch the video yourself. Maybe we can cut the video and put it inside of this analysis so you can see it. But you can go see it at Clay Travis. I tweeted it out. Just scroll down my timeline. I tweeted it out over the weekend. Colin Kaepernick compared going to the NFL Combine in an effort to be drafted to being a slave. And in video, this is not like some off-the-cuff comparison. They did an entire video approximation where they turned training for the NFL Combine into a slave auction. And they compared the players who were at the meat market that is the NFL Combine with slaves. Now, this is so transparently, absurdly ridiculous. First of all players, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, your racial background doesn't matter at all. All players are treated the exact same. They all go through the Combine. Second, it's a privilege and an honor to be considered to be drafted in the NFL, and you are in the line to make millions of dollars. But if you don't want to go, it is voluntary. So I don't believe slaves were signing up for multi-million-dollar contracts, and I also am quite confident that there was no one who was being forced to play in the NFL. It's all voluntary. If you don't want to do that, you can go find another job. I don't remember the option of whether you could be a slave or not being a part of this equation. So that is insanely stupid and moronic of Colin Kaepernick and his handlers who were doing this Netflix documentary to make that argument. But that's not all. Kaepernick has continued to argue that he wants to play in the NFL and that he's staying in shape to do so. Well, if that is true, why would he voluntarily be begging for an opportunity to be a slave again? If the NFL is so barbaric that it is the equivalent of slavery, why has Colin Kaepernick been railing against the NFL and even suing the NFL to try and get back into the league? It is nonsensical. All of his arguments, none of it makes logical sense at all. And so I think it's important to call out stupidity when we see it, and Colin Kaepernick's arguments, frankly, are stupid, and anyone who is still defending him after watching that clip in his Netflix documentary is so mentally deficient that they can't be considered legitimate analysts in any way. All the Blue Checkmark Brigade members in sports media who've been defending Colin Kaepernick, I hope they all watch that clip and realize what an imbecile they have been defending. Remember, Colin Kaepernick said police were modern-day slave catchers. He wore a Fidel Castro shirt and said that Castro's Cuba was more free than the United States. This is not a sophisticated person when it comes to the political arguments that he has made. In fact, most of his arguments are flat out nonsensical.